but you know, I knew they'd been doing something, and that's why I raised, so what they were doing is working on trying to, it doesn't do us any good from the public viewpoint, trying to get the FBI into the thing there. They had asked for help, and we had been trying.
Let me tell you,
get some federal.
I want you to put more, right? Nothing else. Somebody has got to be put on this. If you're in a garage, you run off right away from the thing. Now, second thing, I want to find out what the hell did happen on there. About that telephone call I made to that woman. Let's see who dropped that one. Whether or not it was me. See, I know the answers. Let me say, I know they're having a riot. Travis, one and Chattanooga, and the rest. I know there's a hell of a lot of people around here. Moore's not one of them. We're really concerned about the fact of getting on the side of the police. I am not concerned. I believe this. I believe it very deeply. And God damn it to hell, I'm getting on the side of the police. You understand? Sure. And I just can't understand how we missed it. We missed that. It's the biggest damn story there is now. It's the big story.
We got on not only here substantively, not any other one.
Substances make a bullshit bit of difference. Diddly doesn't mean nothing. I know the substance. What about the wall? More working on the wall. Let's see what we do. And I know this crazy striker at least. We can't support that, but that's a hell of a strong bill. We got to do something on it, and I want Mitchell to come up with something. We just got to quit crapping around, shooting these goddamn police in the back. The shot when I watch them in the back. I mean, I see all the telephone calls, as I said, except for now and then they'll place a nice call to somebody in Vietnam, which I like to do. Most of them, there's somebody that walked in a pollution march or some other goddamn thing. I don't give a shit about that. I really don't care about that. And it's not our constituency, if I can just say that. It's not our constituency. Oh well. Yeah. We all. And do you think you could put one man on it? Just one single little lonesome man?
Very much got the point.
You talking to him?
Oh yeah.
Did he realize it?
Yeah.
Maybe I should call the widows now.
Well, I raised that point.
Who are they? Why not? I don't want to do anything publicly now.
That's right.
Publicly, goddamn it. It looks like just like the way we followed up the Washington riot thing. We waited until Saturday rather than doing it Thursday.
Well, they were coming in with a phone recommendation. Anyway, there's also a phone recommendation to there's a
widow of a cop here.
No, there's the guy up there too.
The black? No shot?
No. To police, the Police Benevolent Association guy, I guess. And they have some point in mind of working with him on something.
Yeah, Colson knows him.
Right. Well.
I don't ever seem to get this point across to anybody. You understand it, Bob. Will you please tell Moore that I feel very strongly about it? Just the way I felt about it. I feel about the Black Panthers and the rest, now that you read the papers, you get the impression that Bobby Seale was let off, Schick was let off. They just couldn't get a jury. That was the only problem. It had nothing to do with the merits of the goddamn case.
Well,
they couldn't get a goddamn jury.
No, they got a jury. They tried the case.
I know, but they had two racists on it.
That's what they say now. Huh? They could get a jury to come in with a verdict.
I understand. You see, it was a jury.
So the judge let him off. So now he's free.
Kill somebody.
Jail. Attempted court thing in Chicago, but that's.
They couldn't get a jury. He said the others said it was racist.
Well, the argument is that the jury was 11-1 for acquittal.
Oh, is that right?
10-2 at one point, and then 11-1 for acquittal. But there were two racists that wouldn't acquit.
Where the hell was it?
Yeah. What they need is 12 racists so they can convict.
Goddamn right, that's what we need. Everybody's bending over back and forth. That crazy woman out there that's probably get after her. Now, this is one thing I want a goddamn strong statement on marijuana. Can I get that out of this son of a bitching domestic council?
Sure.
I mean, one on marijuana that just tears the ass off of them. I see another thing in the news under this morning about it. That's a funny thing. Every one of the bastards that are out for legalizing marijuana is Jewish. What's the crisis the matter with the Jews, Bob? What is the matter with them? I suppose because most of them are psychiatrists, you know, there's so many, all the great psychiatrists are Jewish. By God, we are going to get the marijuana thing. And I want to get it right and square in the puss. I want to find a way to put more on that, or somebody else would do that. Yep. I want to get it against legalizing and all that sort of thing. Maybe we do it through the Congress, I don't know, yes. It might be a good idea. Right. All right, sit down.
I just want to check on that Pew thing.
Yeah. Let's put it on. You get invitation.
You could give me 2 dates set so that he...
Go up. I agree.
You want to get out of the Hubby thing? Or do you want to do the Hubby thing?
He says after the 18th.
What is the Hubby date?
Hubby Days is 24th.
24th, 25th, 26th.
Let's get out of that. Do something else.
When you get out of it, that ends you up in California for that, your budget and goal sessions the following week. Well, maybe you can do it.
All right, fine. All right, let's say again. Fine. That's all right.
That weekend of the 25th.
Either one. Yeah, I would again.
Why do you want to do it on a weekend?
Not necessarily. No, we can do it in the middle of the week. It's just, well, better for us.
It should be, we'll probably get the North Vietnamese answer the preceding weekend.
15th. Well, tell me what the weekends are, Bob.
19th and 20th is one weekend.
What do we have the next week?
The following week, you don't have anything.
What do we have the following week?
That Sunday, Father's Day.
The hell with that.
And
What's the following week?
next day, nothing.
Nothing.
Well, no, the 29th is that productivity committee meeting.
The hell with that. I don't have to go to that. That's one of those shows things.
Yeah, you have to go to it. Yeah, that's one we raised, discussed, and committed.
Not if I'm out saying too.
Well, it's the 29th. You'd be back by then.
No, it's a point.
We need 2 days. We can have it in California.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you've got. We're clear on anything else.
Yeah. What is the date of the
29th, which is the following Tuesday. No problem.
We should have the Pew thing behind us in case I go out to Asia, arriving on the 1st, so it should be...
Well, the 24th or 25th would be just right for you.
Why don't you give it down the 24th, the 6th or 7th, and then
Well,
24th.
Take the 23rd, 4th, and 5th.
23rd, 4th, and 5th.
23rd is a little too soon, because we got to announce it after the meeting in Paris. We shouldn't announce it before.
What's the meeting in Paris?
Probably the 18th
Well,
or 19th.
Yeah, that's 5 days afterwards.
Yeah,
why do you want to put it off to the 1st of July?
Well, if the Chinese thing comes through, I'll be on the trip on July 1st, and I should know what went on there so that I'm not... I think we ought to have all the
You
cards.
may not have to be there if you go on China and you do the Jew thing, you know what I mean? That's far. Jew thing doesn't mean that.
Well, except it's one of the factors they'll take into account.
Do you want to do it so that you can go right on?
It doesn't have to be. 24, 25, 26 is fine.
All right, 24, what's that?
The first day
I would say you can do it on a Saturday or something. Well,
What are the days? What is the days?
23rd, 4th, and 5th. But you
I know, what is Saturday, Bob? That's
Saturday is the 26th.
Oh, the 24th and 25th, how's that? Saturday's a lousy day for it too, though, from a news standpoint. Draw from the 24th, how's that? How about the 27th? What's the matter with that?
Sunday.
Okay. What?
27th is Sunday.
Well, the 28th, what's the matter with that?
That's fine.
28th would be okay. Monday would be good.
28th, let's get to the 28th.
28th would be best
That's
from
right,
my
that's
point
right,
of view.
28th, let's do that. Give you a good time to...
Good. That would
There's
give us...
plenty of leeway, you don't have it then, nothing's
Oh,
going to
no.
happen.
Exactly, Mr.
Nothing's
President.
going to happen, that's right.
Exactly.
Sure see to that.
The So Brennan got the letter from Kosiki now, and we'll just accept
I wrote it, signed it. From him to him, right?
Well, we'll exchange them, and I'll also hand him that little note together with it. Now, the Vice President, Walter Rostow, called on Monday on behalf of the President Johnson to say how much they all appreciate it, how beautiful.
Yeah, well, sure.
The Vice President is bugging the visas out of me. Well, now Korea we said he could do it. Well, he wants to travel all over Asia while he's doing that.
China?
No. He should stay out of countries that I may visit on this trip because it would confuse things. But the major thing is that he's got his heart set on Greece.
Let him go. Chip, we got enough. It doesn't make any difference, for Christ's sakes, on Greece. I mean, let me ask you this. You think anybody that's against the Greek hunt is for me? I don't think so. One. I'm not for the hunt.
No.
But I mean, the point is, for Christ's sake, I'm for NATO. Greece has got 18 divisions, the dominant critics got 3 battalions.
We'll just stir everybody up, and we get nothing out of it. That's the only, it's a purely personal thing, which is understandably. I think he'll settle for letting his family go to Greece, and as long as we let him go to some other European country.
God damn it, why's he want to go to all these places, Bob? He should be sticking around here doing some work. You know, I mean, he's doing work, but I mean, there's more mileage for him to make here now. But right now, if he goes abroad, he's done well abroad, but if he goes abroad and screws something up, it's a bad time. All right, he's going to Korea. What other country over there?
Well, he wants.
What?
Well, he wants to go to Thailand. He wants to go to.
That doesn't bother us.
No. Wants to go to Japan. My only concern is, since I need to visit some of these countries to cover my trip, we don't want to give the impression that we're cracking up something, and I don't want to be tied up with him.
When does he,
Well, I'm using the July 1st Korean thing, and I'm going with him as a cover if the Chinese thing comes out.
Oh.
But then I was going to leave him and hop around until the next weekend. Yahya has incidentally, he's set up a tremendous cover operation. And he'll...
No way the Chinese can fly into his place rather than you're flying to their place.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes, that's... Well, because Mr. President, our ambassador feels, and I think he's right, that it would be bugged by the Pakistanis, and given their volatile political situation, we don't know in whose hands. All it involves is hopping over the Himalayas to an airfield on their side. It's only an hour's flight. And it's probably less noticeable than the Chinese delegation coming there.
Well, we don't have any legal notes on that.
But it may not.
On negative, I don't know. Give him another year. He go to any country. Go see the Pope. Has he seen the Pope?
No.
Right, everybody's seen the Pope. Go see him. Roger's seen Pope. He's not going. Why don't you go talk to the Pope?
But he can go to Italy, he can go to Spain, he can go to Portugal.
He wants to go there. Go down there.
He can go to... He can...
I think a little in the Congo would be good.
I think he wants to take his wife and daughter, frankly.
Right, so it's a nice place, Kenya. All those places are beautiful places to go to. Why doesn't he try that? See that your ass? No, I really ought to do things like that. I guess just borrowing trouble for the cruise. I mean, private thought every time we send one of these cameras it's a real pain in the ass. Mainly because they have to report to us. Finish runs off, leave the hidden if they come back. Then we go, but boy, Maury, he sure got it. Did you report it to you?
No, I'm seeing it today.
You're seeing it? Right, you wrote a report. I read the report still.
Well, he calls every other day, and I don't want it said that I don't see a cabinet officer when he wants to see me. told him to send over that Gleason thing, and we'll approve it. So he's happy.
But I didn't go to, I just don't know where, work anything out. I guess maybe in Greece.
We can write it out.
Tell him it's too delicate at the moment. Tell him to go to Indonesia or Australia. You've been to Australia? What Australia?
Australia.
That's a goddamn good place to go. Nobody's gone there.
Australia, I think he's been. Don't remember.
Is it?
Maybe down to some inaugural or something.
Go to New Zealand.
Thailand's all right. Well, Australia, New Zealand, nobody wants to go there. Australia might be all right. You can go to New Zealand.
Iran, they can go.
Go to Iran. Fine, that's good. Say that out of the others. No. These are more sensitive areas. Iranians come walking in, I don't know if Jesus Christ, I'd like to take a trip here and every place. Booted my ass out through that door. First time, and nobody ever tested it, but what the Christ, we have got these cabinets so goddamn spoiled that every time they turn around they want to go here, there, and every place and take Air Force One. See, he takes Air Force One. Whatever it is, Air Force, the backup doesn't use the backup.
Yeah, and remember once you didn't give him the backup because the president needed it, and he carried on as if, because he was getting routed at plane.
Standing to speak because he wasn't getting his...
Anyway. Well, that's fine, I think you're...
Billy Graham has been calling. There's nothing you need to do about it, about the daughter of some Jewish lady who is being tried in Riga, and every Presbyterian, Jewish, and other group is passing resolutions. All I want
Can we do cover, really?
I think we ought
don't want to screw it up.
I think we ought to stay the hell out of it, frankly.
Right. There's nothing going to happen. Listen, you know, when I saw Khrushchev, they had me talk to them, and I did. I talked to him about the flyers and also about their handling of the flyers. He expected to just give me that pig-like look, and that was all. Swing-eyed. But when I mentioned the Jewish people there, arrived to the embassy.
They're rapidly
He said, what's his name? Who was the Armenian? He's Jewish. They go on and on. We got to it up. Right, that's the one thing that they're just sensitive as hell.
They're
Anything that is racial.
and they are basically anti-Semitic, and it's
Of course they are. The Russians as a people are anti-Semitic.
and
The fools are.
like talking to Eastland about Negroes. It's just, it's in their blood.
Right.
Seriously, it's
The Poles are terrible, terrible. And they're, as people, they're wrong. Even though they're great musicians who are Jewish. It is really nice.
I think Rogers would have a heart attack. I just mention it to you in case Graham gets through to you so that you know
I don't know any place else in the country, but he did want to go to Africa. Let him go to a couple African countries. It really is a way to pay attention to Africa. Congo is good. Get out of those goddamn fire boats. Canada. It's extremely interesting. It is interesting. You ever been to Africa?
I've been to
all those countries. Very
I've been in East Africa. I don't think that's what he's got in mind, but
Yeah, he once told me he wanted to go there.
but not with his wife and daughter.
Damn, it's nice there.
I think what he really has in mind is a sort of vacation trip through Europe and
Well, Christ.
6 weeks in the Mediterranean, cruising through
Why doesn't he hit some of the countries that have been forgotten? Austria would love to have somebody come.
that.
Vienna would be great. Salzburg's a marvelous time to go. We should go to Austria.
That's a good.
How about trying Hungary? You want to write directions? No, here's your back. You can go to Hungary, see if they can get in there. You go to Austria, you should go to Budapest.
But he could go to Scandinavia, he could go to Denmark.
Scandinavia, yes. Not Sweden. Denmark is good. No, he'll catch all sorts of hell there. Scandinavians are smart enough to demonstrate. Austria is good.
He can go, I don't know whether he's been in Germany, that he can't do any damage there.
Germany,
You gotta go to Berlin to get to
oh, Christ.
That's no problem. We may have that settled by then.
Okay.
It's up to us, and that's why I think I ought to put it to Dublin in another 10 days.
Should there is any question about it?
Because why should we pay for a summit and then after they've got Berlin, after they've got the trade, then they may really
They
decide.
don't know another goddamn thing until they're ready. I think you couldn't be more right. I think you ought to do it next week.
That's what I
Let's
thought.
have them. Did you talk to Henry about the press conference things? Did you talk to anybody about it? What is the general feeling?
General feeling is that Tuesday's probably better. The audience, then we're still trying to get a better fix on it.
Probably better Friday.
It may be better Friday, but it's probably not going to be very clear-cut that it is. The only one, Dick Warren, has got reaction on Friday's better because that Memorial Day weekend is a period when you can just totally dominate if you did the thing on Friday. The argument for waiting till Tuesday is that yesterday was a big deal, and that for weekend news, your West Point thing will get a flip on Saturday. I don't think it will. I don't think there is I don't feel like
New York didn't get much.
it will get more maybe at West Point and then over a weekend. But, Tuesday.
Why?
Because he thinks we've got enough going this week that we don't need it.
He's thinking right. You shouldn't be thinking right. Okay. Well, I'll do it either time. I don't care. Right? The main thing, I don't want to just want that to the other one. I don't want to wait too long. Well, Tuesday's not too long, but it's still roughly a month. Right. What's your
Interesting. I'm no expert on the publicist Tuesday because over the holiday people will be occupied with other things, and Tuesday you'll be starting the new week dominating it.
The thing about it is, on the other hand, people are going to be thinking over the weekend when they go out and this and that and the other. Or maybe people, when they go out on the weekend, don't talk about what the hell they do. They want to get away from the crap.
That's what I think. We had a good press anyway, so
So you can't ride on a good press. You got to keep pushing it. We have had a good press.
We're going to do something about these cops, though, I swear to God. I was talking to Bob, and I was giving this whole staff hell because they come in here and they always want me to do something for the environmentalist of the year, and safety belt man of the year, and all that bullshit. For Christ's sake, here 2 cops were shot in the back in New York, and a cop was shot in the back here in Washington. And we've got to get on the side of the police.
absolutely.
God damn it. You notice even the neighbors are on the side of the police up there. There was one neighbor policeman was shot in the back.
The one yesterday was fine. The one they buried yesterday.
Up in New York.
Yeah, that big hero was a fine.
They came from 45 cities around here, and the Negro minister got up and spoke about it now. Bobby Seale was let out, and all the rest of the goddamn country's outraged now. I can't understand why nobody saw it. Did Skelly see this? He's on the other side, I assume. He'd be liberal. Moore sees it, doesn't he? Very easy.
Oh, yeah.
Why didn't he say something then, Bob? Why in the name of God didn't he say this?
What he's
The
saying.
president should write a letter. The president should make a telephone call. The president should call in the widow, or the president should have a thing. You see, the difficulty with Mitchell is no goddamn imagination. None of his shop over there with regard to how to get on the right side of this issue. I feel very strongly about this.
Now I worry too much about
Civil rights.
doing the right thing rather than getting on the right side of the issue.
Doing the right thing. Good God, it's doing the right thing to be on the side of the police in this issue. It's doing the right thing. Or don't you agree? Does anybody disagree with that?
No, I don't think so.
You can't on this issue. It's a black policeman.
Well, they think, the cops think it's a plot now.
A plot. Kill the policeman. I agree.
Yeah, because they've killed 3 in New York for quite some time now. They've killed 3 policemen every 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. More than the first 5 months of this year and all of last year they killed already.
One other Jewish problem there. Max Fisher and Rabbi Schachter have been trying to get in to see you for 3 weeks.
Never.
And we've been sitting on it, but there's...
Did you see it? I saw him.
Well, but there's a telegram on the flight of Soviet tourists, and again...
Well, I'm all for that. Just say it. I'm all for it, Rabbi. You know, they know I'm for it. But you know very well I get them in here, and Max comes in for 5 minutes. He comes in for a half hour.
But moreover, it'd be wrong now.
Just got to catch up. It's the one issue that knocks the living. I don't mind knocking Soviet out of the box for something that has to do with their interests, but nothing that has to do with their emotions. That's what it is.
I think the State Department, I've drafted something the State Department can reply, and which they can quote something you said last January 11th.
Yeah.
So it isn't a new deal. If you agree with that,
Oh, sure.
I said no.
I should have seen it now. I just don't want to get into it. It'll be a goddamn big story. The president's taped up to this.
And it will infuriate the Russians for no good end.
Henry, listen. Fucking Canada, it isn't worth a damn. We're talking politics. It's a political issue in the United States.
And,
People say, what the hell are the Americans going to get into a fight with the Soviet about the Jewish persecution? They don't want it. You know what I mean? Now, that doesn't mean that we don't stand up for it, but the American people now at this time are goddamn sensitive about getting into a fight with anybody except for themselves. The country is selfish.
Most of them don't really want to do that.
Hell no. Hell no.
I was over at HEW this morning talking to the staff about your foreign policy.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Christ,
I got
how did you
a-
get in there without being kicked?
No, I got an ovation. I said, the hell with me. I said, I won't even talk to you about Vietnam. Ask me questions if you want to. Look at the revolution this president has brought in foreign policy. And there was only one question on Vietnam. It was the senior staff. There was only about, 75.
That was the line I took with these Southern editors yesterday. I took the line. Well, now Vietnam, I'm not going to go into any detail about that because it's a large problem.
Yeah.
That's sure the way to... that's sure the way to put it.
And the context of the larger problems, in the context of Soviet, Chinese.
Soon start with that. Don't spend all night talking about Vietnam.
Getting back to Friday, I just don't know what you would say.
Oh, excuse me. No, I think
That's right.
I think that's the right line to take it.
Getting back to Friday or Tuesday, I think we got to be cited first. So I'm
So you guys decide what you do, whether you go to work on it this afternoon.
That's correct. Happy for Tuesday, just.
I prefer Tuesday. By instinct, I'm no expert on audience, but people will be coming back from a weekend wondering what's going to happen now. Then the president is, if you do it right, it's the end of the period, and on Memorial Day weekend, people will probably be occupied with, they probably don't want to hear about Vietnam and so, while Tuesday they'll be charged up and you can take command of that next phase. I think that's how it looks to me.
I think without another factor is not making the trip the following weeks. If you were making the trip, then I would argue strongly for doing Friday.
Yeah.
Because you get a bigger time spread on the two big events. But without the trip,
You know, we might do this. I think it might be a good idea to make it, Tuesday. How about announcing it in advance?
I would.
Announcing it Friday or Thursday.
Today or tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, Friday, we'll have a press conference on Tuesday.
Then people will have
And then
that.
people, then you got all that knocked down and so forth. Sure, issues may come up we don't like and so forth, but they come up anyway. I never read a press conference, it was some goddamn thing that somebody came up, and that's what they're for here, we're here for. All right, have him announce it, let Brown announce it, you know, the press conference. Well, you should announce it now. Wednesday, with the press conference, Tuesday. That gives you the ride of, the fact that it is going to come up. There'll be others.
Another item, Mr. President, Indira Gandhi has written you a letter,
But I don't know about that.
and I think, well, no, we should answer it. Let me say one other thing. Well, and you can tell her, you can use it to bring pressure on her not to take military action. Also, I talked to the Pakistan ambassador, and he said that Yahya might appreciate a letter if it would give him an excuse to answer all the things by listing all the things he's doing, because he can't get any publicity here.
Oh.
And conversely, Indira Gandhi, I've checked with the Indian ambassador, we're getting so devious now. She would like to be able to say that one result of her letter was that you've written to Yahya, so everybody is happy. The Pakistanis are very happy.
But we don't say against Yahya.
No, you just say you hope the refugees will soon be able to go back to East Pakistan. He will then reply to you, that's exactly what he wants. I've got it all arranged with him.
Good. Go ahead.
Then you can take credit, you can tell the Indians to pipe down, and we'll keep Yahya.
The Indians need, what they need really is
they're such bastards.
a mass famine, but they aren't going to get that in the winter on a field. But that's our new kind of wheat. But if they're not going to have a famine, the least thing they need is another war. Let the goddamn Indians fight.
They are the most aggressive goddamn people around there.
Indians.
Yeah.
Sure. Next time he didn't kick the shit out of them when they fought before.
That's another thing. Incidentally, I've been meeting with Brandon. I've shown him a few of the old studies.
Brandon?
He's doing a book on your foreign policy.
Oh, yeah.
He trusts it, and he may change his mind by the time the book is published, but right now he says this is the most outstanding.
All depends on how it comes out.
Yeah. All public and come out.
Right now they are. Well, they really. I haven't heard now since the election. All the newsmen that I meet socially now go back to the line of October, that this is a great period in foreign policy. You're no good at domestic policy. But foreign policy, it's a great period.
We have to remember, Henry, that as far as the people are concerned, I agree it is. We know we're doing the right thing as far as the people are concerned. It's just not domestic or foreign policy at the present time. Vietnam took 10 points out of us in February. We just recovered it. And the economy, the makers, what happens to it, and all the rest. It's that. And so therefore, as far as the average person is concerned, you give a damn about all this stuff. One day your intellectuals do now, I agree. But as far as that's concerned, that's why in Vietnam, and we don't want to do anything wrong. But we got to remember, we got to forget one jump ahead of the sheriff. There's terrorism solution. And I've analyzed it all. Look, do that in Vietnam today, we'd be close. On the other hand, they look at this goddamn war going on. You don't see anybody that wants to win it. You don't see anybody that's interested in honor.
In Alabama, they have big signs, win the war.
Hell yes.
But it has to be weighed against where we would be if they had hit us in August.
I have no doubts whatever about what we have done or what we're going to do. I think we're absolutely right when we were goddamn what the folks show. Anytime about this issue, we have to realize, though, in terms of the effect on us, that it's the drag at the moment. It's like it's a drag, and it's a curious thing. It has to do with the curious factor that said he was talking about the fact that Kennedy and Johnson broke their word with regard to aid to him. And he said, in our country, in our part of the world, we say trust is like a thin thread. Once you break it, it is almost impossible to splice it together. And LAC with the Laotian thing was not because we did it wrong, but because we did a lousy job at the beginning of selling it. We should have done it somewhat like Cambodia had done. We should have gone out and explained it from the beginning. that son of a bitch Abrams should not have gone out when we were in Florida and rushed out and put on that black hat and all the rest. After all, Laos was a blip. Christ, the casualties never went over 100 during the whole period. It was only over 80 helicopters serving. But my point is, the press did a job, and it had an effect on trust. What is holding us up now at the present time is not foreign policy. Not at all. Matter of fact, most people don't know where the hell China is, or Russia, except that it's far away. They have little interest in the Mideast, but that's a goddamn small constituency. If you notice how few questions we get in the Mideast press conferences.
The Middle East.
Few questions. It's horribly important. Few, they understand that. It's close. But the point is that present time, that on the money side, you know, and all of its ramifications, the economy is, shall we say, compared to last November and October, it's 30% better. In other words, people feel better, even though the market's taken a few bumps over the last couple of weeks. It's the investor side. But you see, the difficulty with the Vietnam issue is that the best example of it is that Paul Baker, the time we met with the senators that day, remember? Here's Christ, here's one of the strongest talks we've ever got. And you know how he's crying around, he says all of his people want to get out of Vietnam. Well, he's wrong. He's talking about some of his people, and also he's showing lots of an abysmal lack of guts. But on the other hand, Baker is reflecting what is a current situation. Now, it's not our fault. It's the fault of Abrams and all the rest of it. They screwed up this goddamn thing. As it was, it's still, even with what happened, it's had a good effect.
Of course, I don't dare to dream, but it is just fairly possible that by the middle of June they'll accept our basic proposition.
They could.
If they do.
Be that as it may, if they do. Even if they don't, let me say, the main thing is to have an announcement. First, have a preliminary announcement. If they don't, this is our game. The preliminary announcement, offering the deadline for the ceasefire. They will turn it down. And then immediately after the election in South Vietnamese announce that we're going to get out and get out. That's all you can do. That's because there's one thing that I realize the questions in that last Gallup poll were loaded, but one thing that was not loaded was whether the people believed we were going to be out. And they don't think so.
They don't.
They do not think so. They have been so brainwashed by the press and by our critics and the rest of the press, they don't believe that we're on the way out. They don't even know, I don't think, we've come down, and half the people have come.
Well, that isn't just the Gallup poll. Every poll shows that, so including ours.
Yeah.
And I think it's got to be right.
We pull ourselves. Now, what happens here, you see, and we're fighting an establishment of people that have no.
That's the worst part.
And they have paranoia on this subject. On the other hand, I noticed in the summary there was a couple of very bright spots. God damn it, on that graph, I was surprised they voted down that Nelson Amendment.
It's strong.
And beat the hell out of it. No ratification of Vietnam, voted it down.
There wasn't any squeaker. And the one before it,
They voted
Tunney
down.
second, which was even
About Kennedy.
well, Tunney had a amendment type thing to the Nelson one that was even worse than Nelson, and it was voted down 71 to 6 or something.
And then the Tunney Amendment was voted down.
Kennedy on that.
Oh, wasn't Kennedy?
His was to cut off the bonus for re-enlistment.
Oh,
The enlistment bonus. $3,000 bonus.
Yeah.
He was against that. That was voted down strongly, not as strong as Nelson.
Well, 2-1,
But bang, 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 they all went right
so
down.
you see, it does mean that thank God our senators are against it, but you see, they're intelligent people that read all these elections.
Yeah, but I think, Mr. President,
Have no illusions, we must have no illusions about the fact that on the critical issue of Vietnam, while even our own polls show that, well, at least on the plus side, our own polls, if you give a precise question, say they favor our withdrawal policy, and second, they favor, or they're evenly split, to be quite honest, they're approximately even split on the president's conduct of the war. They have sort of a gut reaction that we're doing the right thing.
It's better than the even split.
49-40. But be that as it may, The Laos we have to realize, in all honesty, had an enormous effect on the credibility then. And it had an effect because these goddamn television people hit it day after day after day.
We had nothing else.
Your thin thread analogy is absolutely perfect.
Right.
We had a thin thread of confidence. It wasn't trust so much as confidence that we were getting at least method.
Well, there were three things wrong with Laos. One was that we didn't go on. I think we should have explained it at the beginning because no one really understood.
And I had to do it. There nobody else. Goddamn it, Rogers wouldn't do it. Larry wouldn't do it.
So we bought ourselves a little time, a little quiet at the beginning at the expense of a basic problem later on. The second thing was the news blackout,
Horrible.
which started it all wrong
Great crisis
and
confidence.
compounded it. And the third thing was the way Abrams bungled it. We had come out with an overwhelming success, as we were with
He would have turned around like Cambodia.
with an ace of doing. That's what breaks my heart. I've studied every document. We were 2 weeks away of
You know, Henry, the thing about it is this, that all battles in war are that way. They're all goddamn close. Nobody wins all the big unless you're fighting the Italians. Now, under the circumstances, what you have here is that, you look at the great battle of the Civil War, and the guy, the question is, who went wrong? Who went wrong?
I blame myself.
Well, I should have gotten after Larry, gotten that in his ass. He was in here, now he's putting this trophy on us. And he's, who's this Colonel Henderson screwing up, popping off now? Is he still in the service? Get him out.
He's the one that's under court-martial.
Damn it, put him in the claim. Fire him.
We trusted Abrams. Actually, Wesley, when it didn't look right to me, I got Wesley over, and for once he was right. But that's when Leah complained to you about mixing
I'm
into.
trying to run the war from here. Put that in the record. It is. No, I don't care about who did what to whom. Except that I think, Harry, let me say, having said all this, on the field of foreign policy, we're doing a hell of a job. The trouble is the country doesn't know. By the country, I do not mean your country. Your country is a very different country. You move in these high circles of all these intellectuals and these smart people and jet set and the rest. But I mean my country. I mean that average guy out there across the country, working like son of a bitch and head off and so forth. The guys who fight the wars and all the rest. In my country, they don't know about salt, they don't know about China, they don't know this and that. They just want to be left alone. They're patriotic as hell, just want to fight and so forth. But they're just pissed off because, oh, Christ, we tried, we've been there 6 years, ain't that long enough? Let her get out, blah, 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 blah. Now, on that point, what we have to do over a period of time, and the only thing that's going to change my country is really some stunning successes that they can see. They will read no columns. These people do not read. They look at television. They'll look at a few of the television sets. It will have some effect on them. But usually what will affect these people are not what Eric Severide says, or not what John Chancellor says. Pictures of blood flowing, or pictures that are fantastic and realistic. You see, we live, unfortunately, we live in a different time. We live in a time when, if this damn war had been on television, the American people would take 4 or 5 more years of it. What are you talking about? 35 casualties a week? What the hell does that mean? More died of dope in this goddamn city every week than there were traffic accidents.
That's where Laos killed us.
Yeah.
Because that enables TV to put it on every goddamn.
Even Laos is not American casualties.
No, but that enables them.
It showed in America because we were supporting it.
It showed even before that every night they had pictures of helicopters and so forth and wounded.
They kept the exact building that
they had the helicopter.
Forgive the press over the way they handled it. They never showed it on the side. They never showed the good helicopter pilots.
But even then, I remember after Japan fell, things were turning.
Yeah, they were.
It's,
People were beginning to say, well, we've done it again.
Yeah. And of course, I don't believe it, but if the 10% chance if these guys negotiate this summer, it won't be forgotten.
Sure. No, it'll be forgotten. Let's not even figure if there's any chance of that. And that comes, that's a good break. It's like picking up a fumble from the Packers. They don't fumble very often. Not deal with it. What we really have this time is the certainty in our own minds. And that's, as I told these people yesterday, there's one thing. There are uncertainties in other areas of foreign policy. There's a certainty in another area of foreign policy. As far as Vietnam, which appears to be the most difficult, is actually the most certain, because we've got plans. And the American involvement's going to end. Period. That's all. Do you realize it? Vietnam is the one thing between now and like we can't count on the Russians, we can't count on the Chinese, we can't count on the Middle East, we can't count on Berlin, we can't count on Cuba, we can't count on Vietnam. And the main thing is to pull it off. But remember, believe me, when that goddamn election's over, it's going to be pulled off. And very, very strongly. And it's going to break you down. Just going to do it.
Yeah, but after the election...
He'll stand.
After the
Right,
election...
the biggest army in Asia. The sons of bitches can't stand. Now they work for a
Well, I think it's in our interest to both pull it off and keep Saigon from collapsing before November.
Yeah, I hope so. It's blacks fighting the whites. That's the next problem. You know, this race thing is so bad. The blacks are inferior. And you see a fellow like our Colonel Coffey, and you know that any general said he's wrong. He's superior to any of our other races. Believe me, there ain't one of us in his class. There's not one. Not one in terms of quiet, poise, brains, so forth. Some others have, you know, more personality, more thinking, this and that. But he's the best. On the other hand, the blacks can't very much. Incidentally, on Haldeman, I hope somebody got on it right away when it was turned down in the House and made a positive out of it. The lease goes forward, everything's just hunky-dory and so forth, right? Well, the lease does, except for the air.
We don't have to lease it, we can still give it to them. That's how. The House has no authority.
Oh, it doesn't, huh?
It's just that you took the action and you submit the action to the House committee for a 30-day review. They say they don't like it. Now you can do what you want about it.
Oh, I got it.
And the California political thing, I think you're way ahead. On the other side of the coin is whether you get off across Abear or not.
Can I suggest one?
I suspect Abear won't care a hell of a lot. The committee did what they wanted to do. They want to bring for it.
Yeah. Let me come down to another thing. The thing you have to realize, Bob, is that try to get it, you can. Talking to Henry about where we got a thing in terms of our own situation here. Let me say there's one exception, two exceptions, but they are exceptions. So the fact of a summit meeting with the Russians will be held. The fact, and this is a much longer chance of some kind of a meeting with the Chinese could be held. So much for that. Now on the Chinese thing, however, I've got to get Rogers in, and you and Rogers, I don't know who else. I've got to talk about this Chinese UN position.
Absolutely.
Because he's got to get off the hook on it.
Right.
And I don't know.
And he wants to do it.
That way.
He wants to do it.
Why don't we just the three of us?
I think the best would be the three of us, Mr. President. It's really a close decision because
the reason that it's close is this. When we take the position against the two China zones, as you well realize, many of those who have been giving us credit for are going to say, oh, these sons of bitches are playing the other lines.
or they're going to say these cynical bastards, or they'll give you credit for being cynical. In which case you will
and not really trying to work out a new economy, so forth and so on.
No, what they may give you, some of them may understand what you're doing and say this is a cynical ploy to kick the Taiwan out. So then you won't gain among your right-wing supporters for having stuck to principle. That's one of the problems.
Well, how are we going to do this, Rogers?
Well, we can do, I talked to Rogers yesterday about it.
Yeah.
And he's very, he recognizes the...
Well, why don't you do this? When you finish this meeting, you tell him I speak Just he and I, let's have a talk. And for him to think of any way we can handle it.
Well, one way we could
bring
do
in
it.
a pole was to show you, because, you know what I mean?
What if
We haven't taken the goddamn pole, unfortunately, since our China initiative, so we don't have one. Well, the poll shows that the majority of American people are against the admission of communist China to the United Nations. Period.
which would counsel sticking with that
That's right.
policy?
If you don't make any points by admitting the bad news.
One thing we can do is to start consulting now and just find out, and that would get us into
Well, he's
trouble.
got to say something to the British, but ask him if we could just try to tell him what I feel. I'd like to him to get his own job, or that I'm torn. I really don't know. We just want the best advice. You and we'll meet this afternoon sometime. When you starting at 5 o'clock. How would that be? Okay. No, I haven't got it at 5.
Harold Legion.
Oh shit.
So how about tomorrow afternoon?
Huh?
Well, tomorrow doesn't have to be today. Could
No, I'd like to get it. Well, this is bad afternoon for you.
No, I have
If it is, it's fine. We can change
I have a meeting from 3 to 5.
All right, fine. So why don't you tell me, look, I want you to think about it today.
Tomorrow
And then off to the rest. I'm going to have to call him anyway about playing golf. So I'll mention that Henry will be talking about China, and let's be thinking about it. We'll meet sometime tomorrow.
It's good.
And all right, we'll put the press conference on Tuesday. Very nice.
And he wants to talk about MBFR for you too, and that would give me a chance to talk to
No, but
you.
I think we ought to have a just chat about these things on a very private basis. And, when do you go to Paris?
I'm leaving Sunday morning and I'll be back Monday night.
Yeah.
And
I
I'll
have a feeling this. I have a feeling. I mean, just so that we don't run a risk, we don't need it. I have a feeling that, and I don't want you to be there and that sort of thing, that if something should surface on this trip, I don't trust that ship. I don't know whether
he doesn't know about it.
Emerson. You know how the French do. Yeah, I know, but always assume there's the first time. I've been through it so often in politics, you know, trust there's something.
Actually, we're landing this time at an American airfield, just to minimize it further.
Yeah. Without indicating what you're going to do, that I could tell Rogers, you know, his whole concern has been just let me inform me I don't need to be in it. I understand. I will not tell him you're going to go meet with North Vietnamese. But if you could put it on the basis with me, you're going to see somebody. He's asked you to come over. He's been wanting to go over some time, but about a number of things. He's really no publicity. It's a private thing. He's meeting with a few friends, and you're coming back. And if anything develops of interest, you'll report it to Bruce.
I think we should do it next time. I think next time I could go to England.
Oh, I know. I'm not worried about next time. You'll have next time well covered. I'd just like to head you over there in some kind of a cover, some kind of a way that
Because now I'm going over, it's all set up for going over secretly. I then have to change it to open this.
You don't. I tell them, you're going secret. That's my point. You're going secret. Anything happens. I gotta say, now look, it's an absolutely secret trip because he doesn't sign me because of the fact that he's not in the government and so forth, doesn't want it to be any other way. He's asked to, he has some information, he's been talking to people that might be of interest to us. And I'll say, you'll remember Bill, here's what worked out, that you just let her know who she been, that's what it's on to me. He's got some interest. I think it's a wild hair, I don't think he's going to come of it, but I think Henry's going to go over, he's going over Sunday and coming back. I just want you to know that anything happens. I mean, that's it. On that basis, you see, where I said I don't want you to put anything down, that Henry will be gone Sunday and Monday. Now, he will respect it if I tell him. I don't you agree, Bill, that this is Bob, this is the better way to handle it, or would you not tell him? I do it either way.
I think probably it's better to tell him on the basis
that it might,
Well, and then it also sets you up for, you've got some painful problems coming.
You're damn right.
Which is at some point, you're going to be right back in the same soup we were in last week on salt.
Henry, when we get, for example, you get the China brick, or you get this brick, Canada be in a position where say, well, they're going to do something. I'd like to set it up so that your China trip is taken. I want you to go and just talk to people in various places. I really don't know what the hell you're doing. See, and I'll say, I know about it, but Bob, Bill, don't worry about it. It's a perfectly private trip. You're not going to be having press conferences. You're not going to be making lectures. So, Bill carries about.
No, my judgment is, unfortunately, I think Bill will try to top anything he thinks I'm doing. And will start a sort of frantic activity. The thing that quieted him down last week, he's actually quite happy now, is that I didn't get any publicity. Now, that's fine.
You'll get it later.
No, I don't give a damn about my not getting it.
I know you don't, but he knows goddamn well.
No, the point is that's what bugged him most, that he's been...
I think he's right.
That he's in a subsidiary position. The thing that worries me...
The other thing that you got, there's another factor in it that's very important there too, which is, the other thing that bugs him is that he doesn't know. You're right. Go ahead. You got to wait and then sit down.
You see, I have no problem. You see, the more I go, every time I go there, he'll get more suspicious.
I don't think you should tell him every time you go.
You see, what I think we should do is this. We shouldn't tell him this time. But the next time I go, when I go to London, we should tell him I'm going to hop overseas to see Santa Ynez. We won't get an answer anyway before, you see what I mean, before the next time, then we are covered. The next time we should do the Santa Ynez.
That's a good idea. That's a good way to tell him that you've been doing this other stuff.
You see that? With him going off to Europe, with him being in Paris, with him figuring that I've seen Santa Ynez, he'll want to see Santa Ynez. Yeah. You know how he is. You're not going to do it. Edward Richards not telling the whole thing. I just think the guy is quite rational. Actually, with his relation to me, it'd be better since salt than silver bin. Yeah.
I see.
He's so amazed that
The better way to do it is simply to say, look, Bill, after we have our meeting in the other. Like, for example, in the Mideast, he doesn't tell us what you and you've got to do some things. And I want you to know that there'll be no question of information here, and so forth and so on. If Henry's consideration is, if he deals with it, it's primarily speech.
my worry, Mr. President, on this trip is the next time I go, I might still have to go secretly there. We should tell him, and we should say I'm going to see Santa Ynez. And that's when we'll get the answer. We won't get an answer this time.
There's somewhere to not tell him go before he goes to Europe. And is over there himself bouncing around.
That's another thing that worries me, is he may feel that if I do it, he's entitled to do it. This one, we'll have one more chance.
If they cover, if it breaks, you would say that you were over on personal business, that you hadn't had a holiday and you were over for a couple of days in Paris. This time you've been here, you came over because of the weekend.
Because the plane was going over on a training mission. You wanted to do that.
You took a plane over and you wanted to see some friends in Paris and you hadn't seen them for years.
That's what it is anyway. See, that's the cover we use in our military.
Some call it head cancer or something like that.
That's the cover we use in the military. But it fits.
God damn it, we don't want any blame. Because that blame is not the point. We want you to come out smelling like a rose. What I want you to say is that, yes, here, a military plane, Major Hughes, General Hughes had a plane coming over in Paris, and I had some personal friends I wanted to see. I came over, and I'm going right back on Monday. That's it. just thought it was a chance over Memorial Day weekend and something I saw them.
Keep it counter.
That's the point.
Right.
Be prepared. Always be prepared that anything's going to come out.
And next time we'll tell him. I've already told him I'll go to England, and then I'll just tell him I'm hopping over to Paris to see Anthony.
Yeah. Not some secret.
That Anthony said he wanted to see
Sandy,
me.
keeps coming up with these ideas. So you go.
Do you believe in the Council of the Arts?
Not particularly, but it's a nice.
You disbelieve in
I thought I was at all the damn meetings in your place. You go around to the Nancy meetings?
I don't go out.
How is Nancy?
The president, I know it, but I don't go out.
On the, what else let me handle this conversation. Drivers, please. I'll handle this, and I'm going to tell them to do, I've asked you to talk to them about the minis, and I just like to have a private meeting with 3 of us sometime tomorrow.
The Chinese thing.
Huh?
The Chinese thing.
Yeah, sometime tomorrow, right.
That'd be good.
You want to play golf tomorrow or Friday?
No.
Good time.
Well, we'll set a time. Hello. Bill, I was hoping to call you to tell you invite you to play golf. David's going to leave Saturday for his tour of the Mediterranean, but I can't do it today. They piled up some more things. They shot 2. Isn't that horrible, the shooting those policemen in New York? And fortunately, one of them was a black, and one had to be shot. But, goddamn, I told Mitchell to get some sort of legislation if he has to break the Constitution to do it. They shot this poor little bastard here in Washington, another one. I mean, the guy, he never had a gun in his hand. He goes to church and bowls. I go to church and bowls. Somebody shoot me in the back, I guess. Yeah. Oh, made me sick because, I could see her, poor girl, fat and unattractive, and so she goes running off. Fletcher's out, in San Jose now. Yeah. Incidentally, I want to tell you, I'm going to send over that memorandum that I spoke to you, and I'm going to send it by a military man. I want it to be delivered privately to you. Will you take it privately? Yeah. Well, that's all right. It's pretty good. I just want you to see. The second thing is that I would like to sit down to talk about the Mideast alone with you and Henry, just the 3 of us. I don't want to have it in the NSC. I don't want to get everybody else. I'm sorry, not the Mideast, but about China. Yeah, about the China thing, and Bush raised the thing, on the plane. But what I would like for you to do, and I told Henry to do likewise, and pull everything together, pull all the political considerations and all the other things, and Bob is looking in the polls for. What I'd like for you to do is to really let the strongest arguments that you can get, in other words, from your shop, but on the ground. But I'd like to keep it in a posture where it doesn't appear that the president is wavering and all that sort of thing. But because, as you know, it's a damn close question at the moment, particularly with the Soviet thing going on, a lot of other things, and also with the very negative reaction to Sean. Have you seen the new Chinese ambassador yet? Jimmy Shan? You have. Did you talk to him about this? Yeah. Well, I'll try to get, he's an old friend of mine. He translated for me every time I went over there to see the old man, and nice fellow. But, well, anyway, get your arguments in a row. You have the thing on. Yeah. They're going to get, right. Well, that's true. I think, of course, there's this principal thing that they're worried about. And also there is a problem we've got, which is a very significant one within this country, as to, I mean, you could start, it's amazing we kept the right cool, quieted down on Russia and on China today. But there's one thing, they got a committee of 1 million, Walter, Judd, and all the rest. And the old gentleman, he can stir up those people. Right. Well, Bob Haldeman will call about the date. If you and Henry could chat see if there's needed to duplicate with regard to the fair. And guess the three of us will sit down and let's take an hour and a half or so and find out what the hell we want to do about it. Because you've got to know before you go to Europe, don't you? Yeah. What time is the meeting? Tomorrow morning.
You got Pfizer tomorrow morning.
Oh, wait a minute, I've got Pfizer. Well, that's all right. I can do it earlier than that. Pfizer doesn't take any time. What is the situation?
Because you got Pfizer arrival and Pfizer meeting.
What time is Pfizer's arrival?
10.
10 o'clock?
Yeah.
God.
That's much better. And then you
Okay.
got Pfizer lunch.
Yeah. What is the, well, you're coming to the Pfizer lunch. All right.
Stay in.
Right after the Pfizer lunch, could you stay and we'll do it then? Fair enough. All right. Good. Bye. Well, that goes a long way. See, you know.
An hour leaving yesterday. Actually, I think this all thing last week.
Well, you're absolutely right. In fact, none of the stories, and that's to your great credit, played out over. You did it over the hill. None of the stories and all this is written is going to play out the president.
I think, Mr. President, what we need at this moment is to win one. That we did it. That the president wanted.
The only one that can help them all. So listen, everybody else is here by sufferance. You know that? They're not right to be practicing law.
You have had the best.
Sufferance, not the people's sufferance.
You've taken the lead. If this foreign policy works, there'll be enough credit for
Let
everybody.
me say this foreign policy is goddamn good. And the main thing is it's for the good of humanity, it's good for all of us.
And I think by next year, Mr. President, I keep saying, hearing from people, it will take a while to percolate to the public that you've got.
And, I don't want to downgrade it as much as I have to you. I don't want you to think it's people do not understand, because what the intellectual elite do understand eventually trickles down, just like money in a capitalist society trickles down. It takes a long time, because it'll trickle until it'll wet their clothes, but until it so clear through and they feel it in their marrow, their bones.
With any luck at all, by next year we'll be able to say we had good relations with both Russia and China. We kept the peace and we ended the wars we fought. And that's not so immediate to the average person, but I think they'll understand that.
One thing, you're all set on your, yes, I think it's very fortunate that those casualties and they did not put that whole 31 on this week. I imagine that a few are in that 34, they must be 34. That's the way to do it. The hell, then, before you do it again. 34 is a number we can live with. I don't think the casualty number affect much more you bought. No, they don't. I don't think people are all still if you get unless you get the one that's a new, new high. Should go pretty high even before that's all right. We'll do that. And we'll play this trip in that way, this white line. Could you follow up? There must have been at least 30 band or other organizations that are on the line of route. Birmingham, maybe 20 or 15 or 20. Yeah, whatever is particularly where the schools are concerned. I mentioned this once before, but it's probably been forgotten. Whenever I said I want a certificate of appreciation to go to every band, I don't mention the bands anymore. I haven't got the time, but you can't mention 18 bands, right? I want a nice certificate of appreciation for their participation, for their helping to make the participation, or get a real warrant, get somebody to write warmly about it. The presidential visit to Birmingham for their 3-in-1 on this at one point that was pretty good.
I think that's the one they used.
No, that one I didn't like. I changed it. They changed it. Now, we do go there now. Does the advanced man know what bands? Oh, sure. Yes, sir. All right, that's their job in the future. Yes, advanced man do that. Absolutely. And as you get this
box, which I made, we had one copy if you want.
What? Don't bother changing this. There was a most pressing or the air country is of the air country. Don't retype it. That's one that I'm showing you. Read it.
That's why I waited till he left the brain in for you to finish. No, but I just knew that,
He's terribly sensitive about this issue. Does believe that we can get some Jewish votes. Or not Jewish votes, but some of the Jewish writers to for us. Because of Israel. I want you to start talking to the Chinese people with regard to a typewriter that's slightly larger and much lighter type. They must have a new one by this time. I don't want that.
You don't want that very big,
I
I know.
can't read it because it's too big for me and I can't get things in. This is almost correct, but the eyes are not as good as they were, and I just need a little correct. I can't read anything, but I don't like to have those terribly bright lights on it. It's slightly larger, but it's a
Light.
really starts up there. Should agree, sure. About time somebody did it. What do you think?
Always thought so. I've always been for it.
Well, I'm not going to hear any more of this crap from the Jews. I just saw Max Fisher last week with this fellow McCracken. Now he wants to come in with Rabbi Shachter to talk about Jews in the Soviet Union. I am not going to see him. I like Max Fisher. I appreciate his work. I think he's a wonderful friend and so forth. But God damn, I'm not going to have Jews come in and lie to me about Jews. No more. And don't you agree, Bob? Very much.
Raised the point that at the main bar where he's going to this speech, he and Richardson are having a meeting today on drug abuse with 40 foundation presidents. Arts thing. Attorney John Ingersoll, Miles Ambrose.
I won't drop by if is it for the purpose of them or the purpose of the problem or the purpose of publicity. I'm not doing anything except for publicity anymore. We've spelled too many things about, all that sort of grief. Publicity on it, or is it? Look at the goddamn thing I did in that drug thing. I've done it over and over again. I went over there to that dog and pony show that John Irvin had, and nothing ever came out of that. And
the only publicity at this one you get would be the fact that you went by there. But your publicity is just
would you check to see whether over the weekend or Monday, have you had anybody check Jack Dreyfus' place up there in Maine?
Yeah, Don Hughes checked it thoroughly.
Did he? What do you think?
good, there were problems for you, he thought, but,
I don't want to stay there just just a night. I just want to go to New England for some purpose, you know what I mean?
yeah.
I think it'd be a nice touch to go up there.
We check it back out with it.
See if we can go up Saturday.
There's a problem with weather up there.
The weather's lousy.
This time of year might be very good.
Drop by us. You know, don't just buy us. Don't get any much of that, so it's...
Get over it.
Let's take a look at it and see what it was. Where is this? Your main law and this damn thing?
Yeah. This one is, so is the other one.
What is your general... I was reading the news summary on it. Which Garmin's is he there?
Garmin's running over.
Good.
When they're out with you.
Oh, sure, right. And she's over there, the woman.
These planets are letting go over.
Christ, I think this is a lousy political issue. But, so this is what, okay, so they're right, they don't have many people covered.
Unfortunately, you probably will.
Yeah, they will. Christ, here we are, putting $30 million into the arts, and people don't have to eat. Christ. For that. Well, anyway, we're doing it. No more. Next. You're following too. Are you giving that public television, you're giving that more follower your guns? Both. Oh, that's right. That's how a two-way switch.
So I have both ways to do better.
I really got to find out, you know, who's photo my lady there. Somebody is, because the planning thing was basically a cover-up. You know, well, we've got Frank Pace, we've got Bob now, Cole, and all that shit. They all want to spend the public funds. But geez, I'd like to drop it down to 2. But I'm reading the summary, it seemed to me that we certainly got a lot of coverage on our trip down there. I think it was primarily because of the
Wallace thing stirred a lot of interest in it, but I think anytime you go out like that, you're going to get coverage. I think we just got to do, if you're talking about Midwest stuff, we got to go in, small towns.
Yeah,
We go to places like Mobile, that's exactly the kind of city we ought to be in.
think so.
Yeah.
You don't think we should go to Chicago on our next Midwest briefing? Show me something in Chicago.
Yeah, we've got to do something in Chicago, I agree.
Not in the suburbs, but in Chicago, the city.
Crank it up.
Because I gave these Midwest, these Southern editors a real, you know, that when I do the other editors, I'll vary it by giving them just a Q&A, which is just as easy. I mean, and not let any questions except from them. You know, they love it. But the point is that I didn't want to go to the South, they'd all be about housing, bullshit. But basically, the Southern editors got it. For them, which is editors and, of course, a lot of TV people, they got it. So it's really quite something for them to get, you know, to get out there. I mean, it's like coming into the office. That's great. And that's great stuff for that. Very big. What ripple effect that has, remains to be seen. Did you ever have Klein check to see, did you get the check yet from Klein on the editors meeting, the other editors meeting is? What they, that's pretty good. Well, the only reason to check is to know whether the media thinks that. I really don't want to see it so much as I want you to analyze it, because in terms of the schedule. One of the things that occurred to me, I feel like in talking to Harry Dent, that if he had had a chance to talk to you, that dismissed him. I would have switched that thing.
Well, goddamn it, I checked on that. Harry Dent knows perfectly well. He approved the list that was put up, and they ran a switch on Harry Dent. Now, he's playing games that he wasn't consulted. He's full of shit. Harry Dent appealed. Harry appealed. There was Harry Dent, he didn't complain. He said that he had been working with the advanced man turned it down. Now, the point is, I generally think that the advanced man should have absolute
had the opportunity to talk to you about it.
All right, but what happened was he got out of box with the event center. We had an approved list, which was Jim Martin and all the party officials.
It was on my list too.
Which then had worked out.
That's right.
Then they said, can we add 15 fat cats? And the event center said no to that. So then the guy pulled an old shell game on the advance man and canceled everybody we had approved and brought his fat cats anyway. A mistake we made, again, we should have, it wasn't arguing to have at that point. It was saying, let's be the political people, the state chairman. State chairman was good, and the other guy was talking about one and then something in.
Matter of fact, Dan was not thinking about not seeing it in that. Okay.
I just wanted to be sure that you didn't ever leave an advance man, a decision that not the political. He was on the decision on the political. Terry was. As you mentioned, this knows one son no, another no, and I never leave it to him. Right? If somebody is playing a switch like that, and that made him talk to Dan. Yeah. Right. Not to, because we're also going to expand so we can use a little larger number. We should have just done, but we didn't know that I had a best part area that we couldn't anymore. The Fox was off the trip, you know, it was great. Oh, yeah. No, we all got out of Fox by this state chairman. When is this family reaction to the trip? How are they feel about it? Very good. The ones that were not there. Awfully good play back here, good feel, because it was a lot of good people feel. Yeah. And even though, they made political points at that, the pictures over Rosette. Yeah, we went down there for politics and so forth. Well, I say that Alabama. Everybody said Wall Street, Alabama. We went there to see the polls. That's perfectly clear. Don't you think? Did the picture thing really got a good rise? Yes, it right. They all had to play the crowds as large and friendly. Yes. A very interesting point that I'd like for you to take a look at, if you would. If you read this summary, you will notice that Frank Cormier said there were no demonstrators in the signs. Rather, in his whole commentary, or most of his commentary about three women, there were 3 women. Remember? Sure. Now, I really feel that is just straight goddamn bad coverage. 3 signs out of 1,000 maybe, well not 1,000, 300-400 signs at least, there were people with signs. Fine. And that is really bad. Yeah, people are the ones you expect to have the signs. Isn't that somewhat sure? It's distorted. I don't know if you've gotten anything about it. I think he ought to be called on it, don't you? Yes. That's exactly where Ziegler, the kind of thing we've talked about. Or maybe, no. I've often said, why not ignore him? Now, Ziegler practiced last week or something, so he does this. Would it be better to ignore him? What do you think? I don't know what's the best thing. I don't think it's better to do this and just crack him on that. You got a name on that? He's sensitive to...